recording something.
So whose phone is that?
No idea. It's not mine. I don't have a white one.
deal with, bank, or whatever. So this was a series of 3 of them that I've got that are very similar.
One thing I can see suspicious about all 3 of them, you know what it is? Not even in this one. It's the telephone area code. If you go back to that first one.
Well, why would the area code? The area code.
Do you want to have Roy
Yeah,
sit more
well,
that way?
Go back to the
Roy?
first,
Change seats, please.
Trade seats.
go back to the one,
This is just for the live stream, Roy. It will be easier.
Okay.
go back to the one you first had.
Which one are you talking?
No, the other way. Keep going.
The other way,
One more.
Gail.
Look at that 951. Since I lived in Southern California, happen to know where
Because it's
951.
Yeah, but I have no idea where
Oh, it's-
DHL is based.
Well, if you don't know where it's based,
The number's not gonna, that's not gonna alert me.
I could
What
guess
it-
where they might be based, and I could guess a whole lot of places where
Ready
they
to-
probably are not based.
Yeah.
And if this area code
Perfect.
is in
Stop,
one
stop,
of those
stop.
places.
That's it. Just like that.
951 is what we call the Inland Empire. It's the
Yeah, but
desert,
that
Thanks,
would not
Dale.
alert most
it's
people.
the desert part east of LA Orange County.
But the key thing is,
Well, it wouldn't
just
if you
don't
didn't-
click on anything that you don't recognize, and don't believe any gifts coming to you or something.
Headquartered probably in
But
that.
the sure signs here,
That better?
for one thing, the
Yes.
link it's going to.
That's really good.
It's not a government site,
Right.
it's not this is a UPS, which is government, that's not government.
No.
Also, if you look at this number, that number should raise a flag right there. Most of them are creating a creative number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3? Come on, that could not be a random number.
Right.
But if you get something like this, go to it could be
What the chances
1 in a,
are.
1 in a, I don't know how big a number that is, what trillion. Just go to the UPS site, put this number in, don't click here, don't touch, don't try to copy the number. Delete the message, go to, take an image of it, take a screen image of it, go. That goes for all of them. We talked about that earlier. Okay, so, day in the life. And of course, it's not quite appearing to me. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I got it. One more thing.
Hello, mate. Just click on our.
Good day, mate.
Here, we'll take care of the rest. Oh, Nate.
Where is it? I thought I put it in here. Something I needed. I had my own, probably forgot to take it off my printer because I don't usually print things, but basically I created a thing to go through here. Okay. Day of a mobile person. When I wake up in the morning, I usually have my Hue or something like that. I have 2 systems, one called Wink and one called, now you may not be familiar with any of these things, and I'm not gonna basically go into details about them because that'll take a lot of time. But Hue controls your light system. It has light bulbs and you can control the colors, the timing. Wink is something that controls the power strip of when it comes on. So in the morning, about 6:45, I have the Wink app turn on my power strip. And then I have Hue, which controls light bulbs, control the light that comes on so that it gradually wakes me up with a light. Because I like to wake up when the sunlight's doing it, but now I'm waking up at 6:45. So that's the start of my day, is having light come on and wake me up. And now, depending on whether I want to get up or stay in bed, and I'm going to stay in bed today because it's easier to do the mobile, is I will pick up my phone. Well, I'll pick up my watch and put it on because I'm driven by my watch. It drives my exercise program. It keeps me busy. It controls me. A lot of people get really upset with letting the watch control them, but I like the Apple philosophy behind their exercise program. I know some people don't, and there's reasons, and I didn't like certain things myself. But put on my watch so it starts
Never mind.
tracking my exercise and tracking my time. And then I pick up my phone because I have my phone coordinated that once I open my phone, it unlocks my watch. So now I'm ready and laying in bed still, ready to go. And this is my home screen. And the first thing I'll look at my home screen, and what I start is I usually go down to dark sky, which is right off the little drop there, and I'll see what the weather is. Let's see if I've got this in any order. Actually, I got mail. So I'll go to dark sky and I'll see what the weather is going to be like for today and use it. And then I'll go to the Things app that's there. And Things is a daily planner app. Things is very good. It's a very useful app. It's kind of expensive at first. It's really expensive on the desktop, but I like it and they maintain it well. I think it's a German program. But I go there and I find out what do I have to do during the day. And it updates every day and has little check boxes of things I need to do during my day. Another thing I'll check is, I wish I had two screens. I could have had a split screen. I don't know.
Can we get the front lights turned off? Because there's some glare on the screen.
Siri, turn off the lights.
Yeah, right.
Siri.
Thank you, Jess. But what I'll do then is I'll go to, I said I was driven by I can do that too. If I go here, I'm driven by my activity thing. That's the little thing with the targets. And that's what tells me my watch what my activity is going to be. And every month it sets up a challenge for you. So the challenge this month, and it varies. The watch drives you on moving. It drives you in active calories, which is moving. It drives you that you have to do 30 minutes of exercise a day. And that's active. Your heart rate has to raise. And then it wants you to stand up 12 times during the day because it's important to stand up and not sit and watch TV for 12 hours straight or binge watch or sit at a desk for 12 hours or whatever you're going to do. So what it tells me, it also has a monthly challenge that it gives you based on those. And it depends on what it wants to do. But the monthly challenge for January was, I have it set that on a daily basis, I'm going to do 270 active calories a day. You can keep increasing this, and if you achieve it, the next Monday it says, hey, do you want to raise it? We want to keep pushing you on. But I have it set to 270, and then this month it gave me a January challenge that I had to burn 11,900 active calories. That was a little bit above my 270. But I had to check it because it tells you that I burned 9,682 calories and that I have to burn at least 185 calories a day to complete my month and beat the challenge. Well, I'm always trying to push that. When I see that number, I say, okay, I'm going to do 365 calories a day to keep getting ahead so that I can finish it early and get my 1,100. So it's pushing. That's where the watch and the Apple is driving you. So that's there, and what you get is these nice shiny awards every month, and you get shiny awards for like Veterans Day. They challenge you to walk 4 miles. They have new challenges. Ring in the new year, you had to do all your exercises. Gives you challenge. Like I said, it drives you. I'm still back here. Let's go back. So back to my home screen again. So now I've done my activity, which is a little target. I've done my things. I find out what I have to do today, and I check the weather, and I can check the news. That's the Apple News. I subscribe to the Apple News. So that's at the bottom of the screen. I have at the bottom all my things that I have to do. I can check my mail. It says I have 34 mails to check. I can still do that in bed. And then I have something. I subscribe to the arcade also, the Apple Arcade, and most of the games are gaming games, and most of the what?
Question?
Yes.
Is it better than a wife?
It's very similar. Yeah, it's very similar.
Battery lasts so long.
So I have some arcade games that are pretty simple. And one is called Word Laces, and that's kind of a mental challenge. And then there's one called Good Reader that's kind of, again, another mental challenge. And when you get to our age, you want to have mental challenges because you're not going to school and working on problems if you're retired. And by that time, I'm ready to get up and do my exercises. So I've done that in bed. Sometimes I'll do it sitting at the desktop, but like here's my watch. It shows me the start of the day that I've done only 3 minutes of active calories and I haven't gotten any time in or any steps. That's the light blue at the bottom.
Is this today's report
No, this is today's. But, so I'll get up out of bed and I do some exercises, and the only thing that's really key to, like, you can scroll through and get different types of runs, standing bike, riding a bike outside, walking, indoor walking on a treadmill. And so I do basically an open yoga. And open yoga just starts, Burning Tower just starts adding those numbers, and I do that. Now, another one you see on the Apple Watch is breathing. It wants to make sure you're breathing all day. No, it just check that, but it wants to make sure that you're relaxing during the day. So the breathe thing comes out and reminds you, do you want to breathe? And you can set how long you want to breathe. And it goes through with nice pulsating beeps, and it gives you a breath thing, and you just relax for 2 minutes. And this thing just goes in and out and creates a little lotus flower. But that's during the day. That happens during the day. Yeah. And I was mentioning about the different things that control the house. Of course, you have Home, which is Apple's product. I have Blink, which is outdoor cameras. That's an Amazon product that they bought. Cloud Cam is an Amazon. Nest controls our heater. So if I'm in bed or going to get up, I also have Nest is controlling our house, so it goes off at 6:30 and turns on the heat. And I can set the heat, to turn on it, go up to 70 in the morning, and then at night turn it down to 55. So again, that's the mobile kind of thing. I can adjust that, or if it doesn't kick on.
Right, can I ask, so no, Nest is now owned by Google?
Yeah, it was.
So they were originally Apple?
They were
or
originally independent.
Independent.
There were Apple developed,
They were Apple.
retired Apple people, or former Apple people developed the original Nextdoor.
Not Apple itself.
Right. So I guess my question is, since they were taken over by Google, does it still work, to your requirements?
I bought it when it was still Google,
Mhm.
but it works to my requirement. It's nice. They have a lot of updates to it.
And could I interject? Sure. He doesn't have a specific Ring app up there, but Ring is now owned by Amazon, which you may-
Right.
Right.
They
Yeah, I
were
thought about
once-
buying Ring, but I don't like paying a monthly charge. One thing, I got Blink, which was pre-Amazon, and it gives me free videos of intrusions and things like that.
Sorry,
Same
what's
type of
what's
thing.
Blink again?
Blink is a camera. It's very similar to Ring.
Yeah.
But Amazon charges a monthly fee for Ring and everything like
Yeah,
that.
they do, and I-
Mixed kind of, but Blink doesn't. So Blink will record at least a day. I mean, it records, actually stores memory. It doesn't even go, I'd be happy with just recording a day. I'm surprised that they didn't do that. Kivo always controls the locks on the house, maybe, but I give up on that because it was I forgot what type of locks we got. I didn't like it. The batteries were out.
Quick set.
Quick set, yeah, it's a quick set thing. Remote is a remote for controlling your remote TV with Apple TV. Wink, I said, is the power strip, and there's Hue.
Hue is Philips Lighting or Philips.
Yeah,
Is a good company
Yes.
overall.
yes, those control things are really
As far as
nice.
I know, they're they have not been bought out by anybody. Google or any of the big guys.
So I've gotten up and I've done my Hue, my weather, Curious. Oh, Curious, I
Yeah,
didn't
he
use
sent it to
Curious.
I'm
Curious
still
is
trying
another
to
app
find
that's
it.
sort of
They
curious
have screen
events.
recording.
It's kind of
Oh,
another
it
thing that's
even
kind of
work.
interesting. News, mail edit, exercising, also being mobile. You can turn on, I'll listen to a podcast when I'm doing my exercise, or I'll turn on music. Mobilely using my phone to do that. Things I check the activities. Check my goals. Okay, now I'm down at breakfast, and that's when I really start to read the news. Just like the old days of pulling out a newspaper. Well, I'll pull out my, I don't think I did a screen at the end of that, but I'll check the news, and I have the magazines there. And there's my what my thing looks like when I'm sitting there, except the opposite way. Well, this is when I'm at breakfast. So I can do the same things I did in bed. I can do while I'm walking, eating breakfast. But usually I pull down and check what words. Oh,
Wow.
that's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. But I'll usually pull down the screen just to see if I have any new things coming, some reminders or alerts. Again, some extra stuff. Let's see. Then I'll check the news. I may do some other arcade games like I mentioned before. Check the calendar. And
Can I
Yes.
ask, which of those things do you have notifications turned on for and which not?
for things I have notifications turned on, I have
In other words, do you like to get news notifications or?
No, I don't like to get too much news. I get just a few alerts from, it's hard to, I can't
The
remember.
reason I ask is that my wife with her iPhone SE is struggling now with what she wants to be notified of and what not.
Yes. I get banking alerts for balances and things like that, and payments. I get the weather alerts. I get a couple news alerts. And I get, I try to minimize what the notifications, because they're kind of annoying. I find them annoying. I get email, you just get so many emails that you just don't want to get a lot of notifications. But well, when you pull down the screen, which it's not showing here, of course, it will show your notification center and show different alerts that have come through. And I usually try to process those because I don't have a lot of them. And let's see, also at breakfast, since my spouse is there, I'll get spousal requirements and things like that I might have to add to click on my things that, oh, I'm on this, that's what's happening. Yeah, I wasn't back. Well, this is Curious. As I mentioned, Curious is a great little app that has little trivia bits and things. It has words of the day, poems of the day, news items, little puzzles you can do. I found it a very good app. It's like $60 a year or something like that to pay for it. So, and then it has little goals at the bottom, challenges, but things I'll usually go there and you can easily add tasks to that. You can see what you have to do and add a task. And so if my wife has something that I have to do, I can put it on there and I say I'm done, then I got it there on the task thing. When you're done, you just click on it and it goes away. But you can set them to come up and repeat, and you can itemize things. Let's see if I got there. There's some itemized things I like to play one computer game a day, so I have a little checklist here of games I want to play during the day. Now that breakfast is done, I can play games again. So I'll do some more arcade games, or I'll go and boot up the Apple TV and play some games on that, because you can use a controller on that, or play it on the pad, or play it on the desktop. I get another app called Blueprint that are lessons. They have lessons in drawing and lessons in cooking and gardening, for crocheting, knitting, all sorts of nice little apps to keep you busy. I'll also go to, I want to read a book, so I'll go to Kindle and I'll read the book. Read books. I like reading it on Kindle. They're telling me how to make a dry martini. That's a nice way to end the day. I like doing the drawing programs. If I'm taking a drawing class, I like to try to simulate it on the pad. So I'll use one of the drawing programs like Sketchbook. I like Sketchbook for drawing because it has common pencil designations. And so I'll go over to my drawing apps and pick out a drawing app. There it is, somewhere. There we go. There's all my drawing apps. So I got Sketchbook, My Brushes Pro, Brushes, Redo, ArtRage, Procreate, and Arian Ink. They're all very popular drawing programs, some for watercoloring, some for pen and ink, some for like oil paints and things like that. But Sketchbook I find is really nice for sketching things because it's it has pencil types. You can get you have to have an Apple Pen. Oh, well, I have an Apple Pencil. Because with the pencil, you can designate you want an HB pencil or a 2B pencil, and it simulates that type of pencil and then the pressure and everything. So it really works well. So that's good. If I'm reading, I'll click up music and I'll pick out. I have a playlist. I'm reading a book that's called 1,000 Songs That You Should Listen To, and so I go to that.
While you're reading this book,
while I'm reading a book, I'm listening to music.
One of the 1,000 songs.
And I'm also streaming the music out to an audio system from my like if I do this, I can click on here, click on where I want to send it.
Sorry, that's the music app?
That's the music app. This is a playlist I've created. I've got this book that says 1,000 songs you should listen to, and so what I do is I subscribe to Apple Music. And so it lists what songs you should listen to, what albums you should actually listen to, 1,000 albums. Wow. And I go to Apple Music, and if I find the album, all you do is click, and you can load the entire album into a playlist. And so I create the playlist of the different albums that the 1,000 I should listen to. And then while I'm reading my book, I will listen to that music. And then once I'm done with the song, I'm trying to find one that particularly care for here. Yeah, that's Frank Sinatra. I'm going alphabetically. The book goes alphabetically through, so I'm at the S's. I've been doing this for a while. But when you're done with it, you can just click and get the song off your playlist. And then I can load the playlist, or I can edit the playlist and do the same thing, just get rid of a song just by doing it that way and deleting it, and then I'm done. So while I'm reading, I'm listening to music, but it's also streaming through either Apple TV, it'll stream to my Apple TV, or it'll stream to some other speakers that I bought that are Wi-Fi enabled. And that's where Breathe comes up. Breathe will kind of interrupt you and say, okay, take some time and breathe. Sit there and kind of relax.
So now are we up to lunchtime? Yeah.
Yeah, now we're kind of in the regular day. I've done this, and now I'm in afternoon. This takes me all the way, lunchtime and afternoon, really, both of those. The other things that are mobilely handled, of course, are emails, listening to music, photos. I might do a little bit, trip planning, if we're planning a trip or something like that, so I'll call it maps. Banking.
Do you use any trip app, Roy?
No, I don't use any trip app. I have used Expedia and things like that.
Have you ever used TripIt?
TripIt? No.
A cool thing about TripIt is that whenever you get by email a hotel reservation or a flight reservation, you just send it to plans@tripit.com,
Yes.
and their logarithm creates your itinerary.
I should use that. I should go to TripIt because I'm planning a big trip and scheduling a lot of different things of going renting cars, going by train, a multi-vehicle trip I'm planning.
Now, what the heck was the name of the app that a guy who used to be a Pi member joined through Meetup made? I can't even, it's embarrassing that I can't even remember the name of it now.
Only comment.
It's not embarrassing, there's too darn many of them.
Only comment I'd make on something like TripIt, I would be apprehensive of revealing an itinerary showing when I'm away.
Right.
That's like posting a picture of your
Yeah.
geolocation when you're in London.
Yes.
It says your house is empty.
Yeah.
TripIt doesn't, it lets you connect to social media, but you don't have to.
But I'm talking about TripIt itself.
TripIt knows.
It's a secure login.
You hope.
You hope. I'm just saying that following Lawrence Charter's paranoia, I wouldn't use a site like that just because I don't know who they are, who
Yeah.
has access to that information, what they're selling, what
Right.
information they're selling. I wouldn't trade, this is the
Well,
trade convenience for reduced security.
Gabe, let me tell you what I know about it that won't satisfy all of that. For the most part, for end users, TripIt is free because it's mostly used in enterprise, and that's where they make their money. Now, my inclination is to assume that, particularly if they do this for enterprise, it's very likely that they're pretty secure, but that's as far as I've gone.
Enterprise services have been breached.
Yeah.
And enterprise.
Well, that's like
services-
saying nothing is secure, though, right?
That's right.
That's
Exactly,
pretty
that's
true.
exactly what Lawrence said.
Yeah.
All I'm suggesting is reduce your attack surface, your vulnerabilities, by reducing your exposure.
Yeah, that exists for almost anything. I know I'm very reluctant. I've been reluctant ever since day one of Facebook. I never posted we're on a trip on Facebook, but until I get back. I did that once. I haven't done that on other trips, but once I got back from a trip, I posted because you could set the time of the posting, the date of the posting. So I posted the trip post facto. Here's where I was. So that basically Facebook had my trip, but it was 1 week after the trip that they knew that I was gone 2 weeks ago.
Do you think that's less of a concern for things that are iOS apps only and not web-based?
Probably, but the more places you have information, the more places your information can be compromised.
Yeah.
Certainly, that's the argument for using password managers, so you're never using the same credential on more than one site.
The
Absolutely.
site themselves can be compromised, not needing a password. They do it in bulk.
But the argument for the password manager is that you can't control what of your stuff is hacked from one site. The only thing you can control is to be sure that that hack doesn't compromise all your other
Right.
Absolutely, but I'm just suggesting minimize the number of sites that know about you, minimize the number of apps that know about
It's a bit late for that.
you. No, well, you keep it in mind.
Mhm.
Don't start new exposures, that's all.
So I wanted to show this because I did get my January challenge, and that's the middle was like.
Sorry, that's from the health app, or
That's the watch monthly activity. So I did get my 11,900 steps just this morning. I wish you could, because it's kind of neat. You can spin it around, and on the back it has the date and everything like that. But let's see. So yeah, I do the trip planning. The other things I was going to say that you might do during the day is I have my books. So these are different book apps that you can do. And I wanted to say that you could have iBooks. You could read your books from iBooks. Kindle is great. Overdrive is what gears to your local libraries.
or Libby?
And Libby ties in with the newer version of that. And Libby's kind of great too because it plays audiobooks. It's its own reader also. So you don't need to use Kindle. But I usually use Overdrive, and an Overdrive from the library, when they have a book available, I can either put it in iBooks or I can put it in Kindle. I usually put it in Kindle because I like reading Kindle on my mobile devices. But in Libby, it has its own reader, but also Libby just makes it really nice to play an audio book that you can check out at the library too. So if we're traveling on a trip by car, I'll often go to Libby and go to the library, and they have books, audio books that are readily available. And so I'll go through that and pick out a couple audio books, and it downloads to the device. And then it has like a 21-day, and it expires, and then it disappears off your device. And then you can subscribe to Audible if you want to. That's got a monthly service, but I have the app, but I don't subscribe to it anymore. Finances, you have your banks. So you can go to your different banks and do your banking. Now we're kind of getting around to the evening after dinner. We've had our day of activity of doing all these things and traveling, and our exercise hopefully is complete. And so now we've had dinner. Maybe you could use dinner for cooking or something like that too, which I don't really use too many apps for cooking except for taking a screen image of a recipe. Or I'll go to the cocktails and make one of those cocktails. Feel like an evening cocktail. I'm working through a book. There are 101 cocktails you should have in your lifetime. So I like these challenges that the books give you. So
Are you drinking the cocktails while you're reading the book?
now
As
once a week I make a cocktail in the book, and I research several other versions of the cocktail. So I make usually three different versions of the cocktail, and I have some apps that will go back to the history of cocktail. You saw Dry Martini there, and we just had that Friday, and that's a modern martini, and I went back and made a martini from 1888, the original martini, which it used red vermouth and Old Tom gin, and orange carousel, and something called gum arabic.
Sorry, what's the name of that one?
What?
What's the name of that?
Oh, that's not here.
Oh,
We haven't got to that's. We go over.
do you have a cocktails folder?
I have a cocktails here. There's one guy that collected. I've been in a hobby of mine's been mixology,
Mhm.
and because that's just been a new trend in the last 10 years.
Mhm.
And I'm really into. I got one book that was pre-prohibition cocktails, and that was a real challenge because it was an introduction to cocktails, but pre-prohibition was kind of interesting because of that time period. But one guy collected together some of the famous mixologist books. And so I have one that is Total Tiki, which is some beach bum berry. And he is a tiki guru mixologist. And then there's one called Shaken Not Stirred. And this was a guy I had gotten his book. His name is Robert Hess. And that name might not ring a bell to you, but he is a Microsoft engineer that got interested in cocktails about 10 to 15 years ago. And so he put together a book. And this just, you can search for a cocktail and it shows you the ingredients, shows you the history of it. You can put in what ingredients you have and it will tell you what ingredients you're missing. Like it says, I'm missing pineapple syrup, so I can't make that drink. Then this book is the one that is the historic cocktails. And what's interesting, if you put martini here, which I had to do the last week's challenge, if you search martini, you can see there is a list of several variations of martinis dating back from 1888 to 1930. So it has the different types of ingredients and different types of cocktails. So it's a real interesting thing in cooking. And then there's another book of modern cocktails. These are modern versions of drinks that are not the classic ones. I'm more interested in the classic ones. But what's interesting is this one guy created an app for these 3 books and put it together, and he updates it constantly, and he shares the information between the 3 books. So if you ever get interested in cocktails, those are excellent books to get. I'm not sure who the guy is to do it, but just the way he put together, especially a historic one. This is probably the best app, is the one that's the history, because you can find the history of cocktails and find when they were originally created and get like an 1896
Where does
version.
it show you when it was created?
Up at the top, on the bottom too. So it shows at the bottom that this was from a 1937 book. It has a reference. And at the top, it shows that this is 1937, and you click on 1896, and it shows what book that was from. It's Martin's new and improved index of cocktails, and there's the different ones he has. He has a couple books that I haven't done actually. It credits his name is Martin Durdorolf. So these are very good apps from him on, looks like 7 different cocktail books. So we've had our cocktails there, we've had dinner, and now the evening comes on.
You don't have time to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Why are you going to sleep
Well,
at night?
After dinner, now we're just lounging. Now we're where the watch is driving us, because we're sitting there watching our TV. And we usually start out watching our commercial TV that we recorded on Dish. And Dish has an app. Also, if we go on a trip, we can access Dish from wherever we are on our pad. And you can actually download programs from Dish to your device. So you can watch them without being connected to Dish. Dish is a satellite service. That's our provider of our local TV and everything like that. So we usually start watching the commercial programs that we watch, the channels we watch. And then we go off on, we go to Apple TV. And on Apple TV gives us access to Netflix and Amazon Prime TV and the Apple TV. So we've watched some of the Apple TV programs that have been on there, the series. And most of the time we're watching Netflix movies on there. But the key thing that pops up when we're sitting there watching movies or commercial TV, the one app that I just can't live without is iMovie Database. Because I'm forever looking up, who's this actor in, or I've seen this actor in another program, or how old is this actor, or gee, there's Jane Fonda, how old is she? 89? What do you mean 89?
Do they update their content a lot?
Internet Movie Database? Constantly. Yeah, because it's tracking every movie.
The reason I wondered is that I saw they actually had on the upper left the new Star Trek.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you go to Star, that's Star Wars. Okay,
I
here's
think you
Picard.
actually get information on movies in production.
Yeah.
As soon
With
as,
Picard.
as soon as movies are planned,
It's a
you can
TV
hear-
put in
TV
preliminary
series.
information.
Like you go to the episode guide, it tells when it's airing. So like March 26th is going to be the 10th episode of Picard. And then you can also go there and you can see that they've already got the 2nd season. Episode is scheduled. It hasn't been created, it hasn't been titled. What I often like to do is, if I'll look up an actor, it used to calculate their age directly, but now you have to do it. I don't know why they changed that, but it'll show that he was born in 1940, July 13th. Filmography, if I want to know about him, I'll call up the actor here. It'll show upcoming projects. He's going to do Dragon Rider, be the voice to that, so it must be an animated movie. I'll scroll down and see, okay, where have I seen this guy? I know I've seen him somewhere before. So go back, there's Star Trek Legacy, and then I can go to that movie. So the Internet Movie Database is just a drive for me of finding out vast amounts of information about what I'm watching on TV. Whatever I want to know, whether it's directed, who directed it, what they're directing, what I'm watching. So TV usually ends the evening, or I'll go read, or we'll go read something. And then,
Another cocktail.
no more cocktails. No cocktails after 7. They mess up your sleep if you eat or have a cocktail late. It's not good for you. So now we get around to bedtime, and bedtime is usually pull out the Kindle again, read a book in bed. My wife reads on her phone, and I don't know whether that's a problem because they have that blue screen, and now they're not too sure that's creating a problem or whether it's the device that's creating problems, disturbing, ruining your sleep. And I have a plain Kindle that's just gray and black and white, and it seems to be fine reading that. I go to sleep right away. Oh, I also should mention, I mentioned about the Hue turning on the lights in the morning. Well, now I have the Wink again, turns on the power circuit, and it turns on the light in the bedroom so that when we go up to the bedroom, the light's on. And if we want to turn on our electric blanket, I can turn that on and everything like that. And if you've ever had the problem with electric blankets keeping on and not turning them off, well, the Wink thing will turn it off at like 10:30. It'll turn off the circuit.
So you can set up a rule to do
Yeah,
that?
you can set up rules. It's scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
So the electric blanket won't be left on. And that's, the end of the day to the next morning when I get up and get my phone. Oh, I forgot, I gotta plug in my watch and I gotta plug in my phone and before I go upstairs, my iPad gets plugged in downstairs. And when I get upstairs, my phone gets plugged in and my watch gets plugged in for the next morning. So that is a day in the life.
You're plugging in, you're not using wireless charging?
Not using wireless charging yet. Yes.
An acquaintance of mine told me that Apple in the past few months pushed out a notification saying, don't charge your devices more than 80% and don't let them go below 20. Is that true?
I heard that Apple put some coding in there now that will only charge the device 80% till 2 hours. It monitors when you usually get up. And
it looks at your battery usage patterns.
Yeah.
over a period of time.
And so if it's
In the latest, I think this is only in the latest iOS.
yeah, only the latest iOS.
I don't know if it's a point release or the major release, but the latest of
Yeah.
one of those.
So if you're doing it overnight, it'll only charge up to 80%. And if it knows you get up at 7 a.m., at 5 a.m., turn it on again to fully charge.
I
And I don't know what the-
this iOS, I plug it in for 2 hours, it goes to 100%.
The operating system is controlling that. Well, it also, if you just plug it in randomly, it'll just do it. I mean, it's not monitoring that. But overnight, that was kind of strange.
I don't understand.
I didn't quite, there's a lot. Bruce knows a lot of the logic of the
Well,
electronics, the
I don't know.
batteries, and the charging.
One thing I can say about that is that I don't know if it would work for a guy like me. My wake and sleep patterns aren't that regular. It's not like I have a full-time job to go to every day or
I
something.
think they found something about cycles. I've never had problems with any of my devices since the iPad 1 and my iPhone.
It probably, I
Whatever it
have
is.
heard the 80% figure on the charging side. I don't recall hearing the 20% figure on the discharge side, but it probably doesn't hurt to obey those. I don't think it hurts anything.
No,
Is it really necessary? I don't know.
Well, what it's trying to do is optimize battery life.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
The life,
so what they basically have said is that just like SSD storage, modern batteries have a certain number of cycles before performance and capacity starts to wear out and deteriorate. So what they're saying is between that 20 and 80% is an optimal range, and it doesn't top it off until it thinks you're actually going to need it. But I'm glad we got onto batteries, because I actually have a question. iOS on the iPhone gives you can look at battery health, and it'll tell you the capacity, the percentage capacity remaining from 100% when the battery was new. There's nothing like that on the iPad. iPad OS
Mhm.
does not have battery health. And I asked on the mailing list, and Aaron
Yeah, I
Apple
got your thing.
was telling me about some utilities that he thought might be useful, but it turns out they're not. So I just wonder whether anybody has either experience or pointers to specific
I
apps
think
on
you
the
might be the only
iPad. And the
viewer.
reason for that is that seat of pants, I think my iPad is running down faster than it used to. But I have no objective way to clock that.
Right.
I have noticed the same thing that namely that capability is on the phone, but not on the iPad. I don't know. I I don't have a good answer for why Apple would do it that way.
But the question is, has anybody found apps or utilities or anything like that to monitor on the iPad? What Aaron suggested was go to the Genius Bar, because apparently they can run
Yes.
diagnostics that I
Yeah,
can't.
they'll run the
They
diagnostics.
can-
I just called up the one on the phone, and at the bottom, it says to reduce battery aging, iPhone learns from your daily charging
Right,
routine.
that's
So
the
it
one
can
we
wait
were talking
to
about.
finish charging past the 80% until you need to use it. It's kind of an interesting term.
Yeah.
Now, is-
Go to health.
Right,
See what-
right, is that activated by default, the optimized charging?
I don't know whether it's optimized, turn off until tomorrow, turn off. I don't know what its setting is. I think it's by default, because I think they want to put it on by default because it's protecting the new devices or the new phones. I'm not sure whether that's on the older phones. But yeah, Gabe, it is interesting that they haven't given you that capability on the pads. I think it was more of a problem on the phones, having lesser battery problems than the pads have.
There is a screen that says
So-
maximum capacity.
Yeah,
It's
And on
the,
my phone, which is at least, well, probably going on, it's over a year old, going on 2, it still says 94%. This is a measure of battery capacity relative to when it was new. Lower capacity may result in fewer hours of usage between charges. So that's a rough measure of
Yes.
your runtime
Yeah.
between charges.
Thanks for showing this, because my wife with her SE, that's about 2 years old now, is complaining that the charge doesn't last as long.
Yeah.
So I'll be sure to check this and
Yeah,
See
people were
what
having
it-
so many problems, and the
Yeah.
Genius bars were getting so overwhelmed with people coming in complaining or wanting to check that I think it was the phone that was more of a problem than people going in with pads.
My wife has the same phone I have. It's the iPhone 8, not the 8 Plus. Got it at the same time, started using it at the same time. And she had a problem with hers, and we ended up getting a new phone under the warranty program. I could have put a new battery in, but why? Because
no.
we've already covered.
Yeah.
I have put a battery in iPhones, and it helps. And I put an iPhone 7 battery in for someone, like
Mhm.
my sister-in-law recently. So really, if your battery is not holding a charge as long and it's enough that it affects your
Daily.
daily life, the bottom line solution is you're going to have to replace the battery.
Right. Or the
Or get for the whole phone. If it's time to
So-
upgrade,
Bruce,
think about a new phone.
Bruce, do you do that?
I can now, yes.
You can help people?
Now I can, and I couldn't do it before, but we'll have to take a look, and you will pay for the part, I'll tell you what to order or get it for you,
Mhm.
and I'll do the labor, and,
Terrific.
yeah. But yes, long story short, I worked on a lot of Mac laptops and portables that are pretty small. I was always a little afraid of getting down to this level, because
Yes.
those screws are really tiny. I mean, they're bad in a laptop, but they're worse in a phone. Well, having done it, it's not as bad. Yes, they're small, but I'm no longer afraid of it at all. It's just like anything else. Once you've done it, oh yeah, I can do it. I know how to do it. Just have to be very careful.
how long does it take?
To do a battery replace? The battery replacement part is maybe an hour, but there's always a but. It's recommended, it's not required, but it's a good idea to calibrate a new battery on anything, whether it's a Mac portable or a phone or an iPad. What that tells it is, when you look at the battery in the upper right corner, and it says, like mine says 43%, that number, you want to track what the battery's actually doing.
Mhm.
Whether it's 43% accurate, is that what it really is? And the way you tell it or make it so that it is by going through this calibration procedure after you put a new battery in. And what that consists of is charging it all the way up, leave it on the charger. I think it's another 2 hours is the recommended time, to be sure that the phone thinks the battery is charged, even though you know it's charged, to make it read 100%. Then you have to run it all the way down as far as you can until it shuts itself off. So that, once again, the phone the battery's at zero or very, very, very low.
How do you do
And the
it?
phone thinks it's low, and then you charge it back up to normal, to 100%, and then that's it. That's the calibration.
How do you do the rundown?
Up, down, up.
How do you do the rundown to zero?
Turn it on, leave it on. If you need to, you set the settings so that it doesn't go to sleep right away.
I forgot about this.
You can do it so that you can leave it and let it go to sleep, but it's going to take a lot longer.
Dale has a comment?
Yes.
Does the optimization thing that we were talking about
Yes.
earlier void the results of that process? Since it's
That is a
Say-
good question.
saying, since it's.
I'm not sure the answer to that.
80%.
That's an excellent
80%.
question. I would think it might be good to turn that off. When you put a new battery in, turn it off, or turn it off while the old battery's in if the phone's working at that point. And then after the new battery's in, go through the procedure with it off. And once everything's working okay, then turn on the optimization. That's my recommendation, but I haven't read anything about whether that's what people who are supposed to know about this stuff, like battery engineers and Apple people, say.
On the subject of batteries on pads, I forgot they introduced this recently, Gabe. They do monitor the battery, and it's very useful. So that calls up on the pad, and you'll see that top thing shows the time it's charging. That's basically, where was that? Well, put that this time.
See on the
There it
What
is,
is it, the
time
left?
on the bottom, yeah.
left,
12 a.m. This part is when I plug it in at night, and then it charges up. And this is what's happening during the day, because this goes down to like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. And then this is what's been happening during the day. So it gives some real good statistics here of
Yeah.
stuff that's happening. Because then you can look down here, well, I spend 35% of my battery doing mail. You were wondering that.
But that's not, you have to realize that's not just how much, it's not just how much time you spend in an app, it's how much
Battery.
that app uses the
The battery,
processor
yes.
and other resources, which in turn use the hardware and draw from the battery.
Then you can go over the last 10 days, and you can see that mail is still about 30, I spent 35
Dale,
most of
what
my
were you-
mail.
I was just gonna ask, on the left side, the second thing down, battery
That's
health.
this, that's what
Yeah.
called up this.
Okay, that's.
I called up this screen.
Okay.
So on mine, it's reading home and lock screen 62%.
Mhm.
I
Do you
have
do you
this
have it to
programmed
go that,
to shut off after 5 minutes. Is
Yeah.
that why?
but do you have it that when you raise your phone, it opens it, or,
No,
well,
it's interesting.
yeah.
I'll call Apple.
So this is interesting, also interesting, it isn't, like, here's home and lock screen, that's kind of interesting, 11%.
Yeah.
And mine is
battery.
reading 62. Yours is much lower.
What that probably means on the home and lock screen is the time when you're staring at the phone and you decided what app to push next. Or after you set the phone down, if you don't immediately put it to sleep,
Right,
it sits there and the display is on while you're somewhere else until it goes off on its own. And there's
Right.
a certain time that's probably all in, I would guess that's what that is. I don't know, but I bet it is.
But that's, the 35% for mail is not showing 35% of your battery was used. Of the amount of your battery that was used, 35% of the amount of usage was mail.
Yeah, I think
Not
that's
35.
correct.
It doesn't mean that your battery went from 100 down
Right.
to 65
Correct.
based on mail.
Correct. That's,
If your
it does-
battery went from 100 to 50, 35% of the 50 would be mail, 17.5%.
right.
correct. I think that's what it
Yeah.
means. That's
So
exactly.
currently I'm at
But you could
50%.
misread that.
Currently,
But it's a comparative thing. It
I
shows you which apps are the most consumptive.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, currently I'm at 50%,
If
but
you do a lot of
35%.
email, you would expect you.
Probably if you had
Might be up
Netflix,
there.
and you're running without being plugged in, if you're running off a battery and Netflix, that would be extremely high.
Well, you can also see Safari is 18%, and that's, websites are eating up battery because you're doing a lot of CPU processing.
Okay, I have a habit, and I don't know whether it's necessary or not. If I have a lot of apps on my phone that need to be updated, I plug it in when I'm doing that.
I would say that's on a phone,
Yeah.
not necessarily. Probably.
Most of
On a
it, most
phone or
most of
an
those
iPad.
are, most of that stuff's pretty small.
On a computer, like a Mac portable,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
there's an additional consideration. Like, who is in here? I don't know if they're still here, but we're talking about earlier, when you run on battery,
Mhm.
you know, like, I guess maybe it was Jonathan.
Yeah.
Like, for the demo here, we set up the laptop, we didn't use it, but I said, I'm gonna hook up the power adapter, even though the battery may be charged. Why? Because it cycles down the processor to a lower speed or a lower power consumption. There's some
If it's up there.
hardware things built into the CPU and other circuitry that Apple's designed or the chip maker have designed in to reduce battery consumption. Those, when it knows when it's on the core, on the target, and when it is, those don't kick in. And so you get a little better performance. Now, on the Mac side, there's a system preferences screen in energy saving, I think it is, to allow you to override or turn that off. The thing is, who wants to bother with it? Not everybody knows about it or knows where it is. So it's simpler, just plug the darn thing in if you've got the charger, you know, and get focused. Yeah, you can override it, but your battery usage will go, you know, it'll run down somewhat faster. How fast? I don't know. How fast do you? And the phones don't, they manage battery differently.
Lawrence talked about going into your preferences for Wi-Fi and deleting networks that you once joined but
Yes.
will no longer join. I can't find that on my phone.
It's desktop.
It's only the desktop.
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
only-
you
it's
can
only
do it
Mac
on the
OS.
phone. I don't think,
Yeah.
I
Not sure.
don't think there's a way
I
to
have to
get
look,
that.
but I did that on my desktop and it was eye awakening because I saw all these
Right.
ones in Europe and
Over
all
a
over
long,
traffic.
like a year or two
Oh,
times.
years ago.
Especially- Yeah, especially if you travel with your laptop.
But that was
That
really,
list will be long.
that was really a good point when you said like Travelodge. 'Cause a lot of
But
motels,
it's
hotels. have
You can't get to that cashier.
I think that's correct.
I'll have to search for
I
it.
have never found a way to do
I
it.
looked when we took a break and I couldn't, I did find one of the church's Wi-Fi networks. Apparently I tried to log on to once. And it was still showing as one of my favorites, so to speak. I deleted that.
On your phone?
On my
or-
phone.
Oh,
But that was while I'm here. What I'd like to do is from the comfort of my living room sofa to sit down
right,
and delete caches from other cities.
right. One way to prevent that from happening in the first place is to trade off between security or privacy on the
Just
one
go
hand
cellular.
and convenience on the other is don't let it connect automatically your networks you've connected to before, or don't
Yeah.
click the button that says remember this network when you join it the first time. Leave that unchecked, but you'll have to re-enter it every
This is
time.
ex post facto.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's a trade-off.
Yeah, they don't show it on.
Okay, so I
Certainly
didn't
don't
miss
show it on
something
the
nobody
phone.
else here knows.
But that's mostly on the laptop side, the Mac side, not on Not so much
I could go home and look at that, but I.
What are you
Right.
thinking, Alan?
Yeah, the other thing I was gonna point out
I
is,
got a few things to, do we still have time?
Yeah, sure.
I was gonna point out, you can check your iPad usage and that'll show how much memory you're using. And the same thing for your iCloud Drive. You can call it up and see how much of your iCloud Drive you're doing. And if you've got an app that you're not running, like say here's a game or something like that, you can offload the app and
that you
that'll,
hardly ever use or never
Yeah.
use.
and that'll cut down on it. That'll give you just offload the app and you can say it like that and suddenly the app size of 903 megabytes goes away.
That's saving
Did
storage.
you put it in storage in iCloud when you?
No, you don't need
uploaded?
to, you don't need to. Apple has that app, so all it says is,
Right. See, it says reinstall.
keep
the
your
button-
data, it keeps all the data
The
for
button
the app.
changes to say reinstall app, so if you want to play the game or use the app, you just
That's
reinstall.
that's particularly true of newspaper apps that aren't smart enough to delete old editions. Yeah,
Good point, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
I never do that. That's
That
really,
could take a lot.
yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's see what I got. I've got a couple things that I can do on the screen, but I just wanted to show one little gadget that I bought from a crowdfunding.
If you're going to,
we're still actually live on YouTube.
and
Oh, my goodness.
that's still Lori on the screen.
One way.
Not anymore.
Okay, what is it?
Some kind of cord winder, maybe?
A lanyard.
It's a no slip thing.
Oh, it's a
Oh,
holder for your, like a handle for your
Oh.
phone. or something.
If I can- if I can
it's a
do it
leash for your phone.
But I carried a phone with me, and it's a little scary when you want to take a picture from a chairlift.
Oh.
And you got a glove on one hand, you got to take the glove off on the other hand.
Oh,
If the phone falls, forget it.
I have a friend.
Okay, the clip
so that
fastens
goes
very securely.
belt,
I wouldn't put it on a shirt, but I would put it on,
the belt.
That's cute.
my pants.
What about if you're in a small sailboat on the water?
I think it would do the same thing.
You know,
Now, there
at
was
least it won't go in the drink, maybe.
There was some concern about whether or not it will cover the multiple cameras on the newest phones. If somebody will lend me an 11, I'll,
That-
May not get that,
Actually,
but
that
it's-
would be great for bicycling too, if you want to keep.
Same thing.
yeah.
Same thing.
What's the name of
You
it?
know, it falls down and, you know, unless I'm on my knees. Hangtimegear.com, HANGTIME, gear, GEAR, all one word, .com, Hangtime Gear. It was one of the crowdfunding ones. I don't remember whether it was Kickstarter or Indiegogo. But I thought it was sort of a neat idea.
Yeah.
I haven't actually used it. But, you know, if you're gonna hike along the rim of the Grand Canyon or something, or whatever.
Or if you're a skydiver, maybe.
Well, anything where if it falls,
Don't laugh, I have a Mac consultant buddy in California, he and his wife go skydiving, they're about the same age group as all of us, like.
I think using that, you'd be in the
Jumping
mode
off a
of
perfectly
having
good plane.
Siri take the pictures.
okay, what was I going to get here?
What's this?
Okay, okay, I'm going.
These are all our stuff, I think.
I'm going on to.
Our box.
Hi, Apple TV, can I get in there?
Yep.
Should be.
8015.
Did you leave something?
Yeah.
Alan, is that an outer box case you got?
Oh,
No, this is from,
Under your camera.
the bag.
This?
Yeah.
Oh,
this is
sorry.
one from, MaxWheels.com.
Oh, sure.
I can't say enough good stuff about the outer box.
This one's called, well, I've got a friend who has the same case, not the same phone. It fell off the top of her car. The car, it landed on the asphalt, screen down. The car ran over it. The damage, the screen protector needed replacing.
That's it.
The case was fine. The screen on the phone was fine. I'm amazed. Okay, buddy,
There you go.
oh,
Yeah, you're on.
That's good, okay. This is called AirSync, AIRSYNC. And some of us are old enough to remember the Theremin, a musical device.
Yeah.
This is the Theremin. Use two hands. Let's see if I can do it. Okay.
Sound isn't.
Me, turn this-
So this was like what was the name of the hardware device at,
There.
huh?
Theremin.
Yeah, Theremin.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Invented
it?
by a Russian guy. His name was Leo Theremin.
Well, it was a name, okay.
Yeah, that was his last name, Theremin. What's this one called? The alphabet?
AirSync, AIRSYNC.
That's the Theremin?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta get that.
Okay, I mean, I did it at home.
What are you trying to do?
Well, you gotta turn those switches on there.
No,
That said, wow.
no, if I turn the switches on, it means it does it with a slider switch instead of your hands.
Oh,
Well, let me try that and see if I can demonstrate it better. Okay, I can't find the slider.
Not quite peaceful, is it, Chairman?
Turn those automatic up. It's supposed to be able to do it with your hands.
So it's
You
like,
see the
What
circles?
you're trying to do, I can't understand.
Make noise.
It makes musical,
It's a-
electronic music.
it's a composition app.
It's an instrument, a musical instrument.
Yeah, what was it, the theremin was what, probably 50s, 1960 or something, or?
At least back, I think early 50s or late 40s,
Yeah,
somewhere in there, it was a long time ago.
let's see.
There, you had something.
I can't figure out which air sync is the right one.
Okay, it's the capital letter A, down in the lower right.
Blue background,
I can do I can do AirDrop to, here, let's do AirDrop. Share app, AirDrop. Okay, up here I've got,
Is it iPad savvy?
I don't know, I haven't
Oh,
tried.
maybe that's why.
there's Bruce's pad.
Okay, does Roy want it?
What?
I'm on AirDrop right now.
Send it to, Pragaput.
Okay, Roy, do you want it?
No.
Okay, Jonathan, do you want it?
Pragaput, yeah.
Okay, somebody's MacBook Pro, I don't know whose it is.
No, that Pragaput is my phone.
Oh, was that your phone you wanted on that?
Yep,
Okay.
thanks.
Bruce's iPad?
Yes, please.
Yes, okay, and then there's these two, no?
Oh, it's synth, okay, no wonder I was,
One's a MacBook.
I was spelling it wrong, no wonder.
We're
Pro
both
just made it easy.
Air synth, not air sync.
So maybe that is my MacBook Pro.
So it's a
Oh,
synthesizer.
well, okay, well, this is an iOS app, so it's no good for the MacBook anyway.
It says 99 cents.
Oh, I got it free a couple weeks ago. It was one of those, free for a couple of days.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
well, still, what's a dollar?
Well, if you think it's cool, you'll give them a buck. If you don't,
It's
Well,
got
here-
a two on it.
unfortunately, I can't give you a great demonstration. It's not, here we go.
Well, it
Looks like you
actually
have to
takes
be-
quite a bit of skill to make music on it.
Oh,
Maybe you have
it's
to be
got-
farther away.
You
It
need
has
practice.
different voices. I was using the flute. The default was vintage. That didn't impress me as much.
This could keep your grandkids amused for hours.
Okay.
Yes.
And your spouse annoyed for hours.
Enough of that. Let me go on
Do
to,
you have a comfortable couch?
No.
okay, I saw a scanner. It's really nothing particularly about iOS, but let's see, where do we go here? Let's do screen sharing on this. 602.
Scanner, what kind of scanner?
I'll show you in a second.
And be the first to enjoy the Seashore Shine Walk.
What? Come on. This is Indiegogo. Which picture is it? I don't know.
Last year, we created the Caesar Aura Scanner, our second campaign on Indiegogo, and you liked it. We created a community of over 20,000 backers and 150,000 users from around the world. And we scan everything. Now, we're back with a scanner that you've never seen before. This is the Caesar Shine Aura.
Good enough.
Our new super portable adjustable scanner with our most advanced tech yet. With 13 full-size megapixels and 340 DPI, which means you get superior quality scans every time.
seen that, Susan.
The Caesar Shine
book
Ultra
stand.
features the patented curve flattened technology, which means you can scan
Best with
anything,
that.
and it will give you absolutely flat scans with colors that are more vivid than ever before.
Do you know, that's a useful feature, that
Yeah, it is.
being able to do that, because the frustration from scanning all the time is exactly that it doesn't straighten right, it doesn't, yeah.
It's super fast, whether you need to scan one document or
A lot of books.
with a blazing speed of
And
scanning one
that
page
was the
each
biggest
second.
problem,
And
Right.
it's super portable.
especially when they're
Here you can do
valuable.
it back and you
Yep.
have the power to scan and go and the Caesar Shine is also capable of recording video plus scanning. So you can use it in your presentations. And the adjustable height ensures that you catch the smallest details.
Wait a second, it's not a projector also, is it?
We worked hard
But
on
if you
perfecting the most portable and
Right.
advanced scanner.
It records it in your,
Yeah.
And be the first to enjoy the Caesar Shine Wall.
I like it. I'm just impressed with it.
Question.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to scan 50 pages using that,
Well, okay, I've never used it, I don't own one, I'm tempted. But it sounds like you would put the book on the base of the
No.
scanner.
a document.
A document?
I
Well, if you're doing individual page documents, it may be easier to just buy a flatbed scanner.
No, I have one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
so-
well, which I've owned for years,
I think many of us, maybe all of us have.
flatbeds.
Yeah,
When I
the
discovered,
problem with them is, even with a book flat on it, you still can't quite get it
You get
exactly the way you
distortion.
want unless you
Yeah.
take off the spine. and
Yeah.
What is the
binding
name of
and
that?
on the other
Huh?
model,
Name of it?
Okay,
Caesar.
this is on Indiegogo, you familiar with that?
No.
They're, familiar with Kickstarter?
Oh, sure.
Okay, this is a copycat of Kickstarter, Indiegogo.
Crowdfunding, yeah.
It's crowdfunding, INDIEGOGO.com.
It's been around for,
a long
They've
time.
long
been
time.
around, one major difference between them, Indiegogo charges your credit card immediately.
Mhm.
Kickstarter charges your credit card on the day the campaign ends.
So this is a campaign for something that doesn't yet exist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you go in and you look at it, they built 2 prior scanners. And this is an improvement over what they've had before. The feature that you can take a bound book and put it down and manually flip the pages, and then it takes care of the curvature. I've tried putting a book on my flatbed.
I know you can't.
And, well, I can get one page if I put it over the edge and have the binding hanging over.
Dale was just saying that, yeah.
It's a pain.
Yeah, and if you've got a $25,000 book, the
Yeah.
person that owns it takes a very dim view of that.
I think
It's a
if,
dim view of taking the binding
I think if
apart.
we had this when we started, scanning all the pie journals. Yeah, I guess somebody cut them apart, whatever.
Well, yeah.
But this, right now, it looks like they've got, $2 million, pledged so far. That is 15,000, that's impressive.
Yeah,
So you can't go out and buy one just yet.
No, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, you cannot go and buy them. There's some companies that only do business on these, and they manufacture the products based on the number of pledges.
search for it on Amazon.
Okay,
Very commonly, what will happen is that if the campaign is successful, they may keep it going on Indiegogo or Kickstarter to draw new customers, but then they'll set up a separate site for selling. But the
Okay.
one caution about this is you can back something and it's a gamble that you will get something, and not all things are successful.
I've been burned a couple of times on some of these things.
Mhm.
I got something now, it was just a hat. It seemed like a nice hat, it was not too much
It's
money.
like when
And
you invest in oil
Yeah.
exploration, there's a 1 in 11 chance
the
they'll drill a dry well or something.
the excuse for not shipping, and it seems quite credible, because the guy has brain cancer and he's out of the country. Well, it seems rather extreme, but he says now, he sent an email a couple days ago that he's actually sending the goods to the forwarder. I don't know, hey, It was burned on one little thing. We never got an excuse. We don't know what happened. It wasn't a scam. Some people got their stuff, but I think somebody expended more money than they had available, and the ones who got their goods, fine. The ones who didn't get their goods,
I think what happens to a lot of these innovators is that when they're finally confronted with the exactitude of bulk manufacturing, it becomes too expensive for them. I don't remember the name of it. It's probably 10 years ago now. I backed a keychain device that was a locator, well before Tile, that was an SD card slot, and it enabled several things that you would want in one go. And they never produced it. They ran into manufacturing problems.
Was that through Kickstarter or this one or a different?
I don't remember which it was. Yeah,
It doesn't matter.
I think
That's the remote for the TV.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I got one last thing.
Okay.
I'm not artistic. Apple pencils are very expensive. And until recently, I didn't have any device with which I could use an Apple pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got one of these emails that advertises things that are technology, and it talked about an Apple Pencil clone
Mm-hmm.
that was available. At the time, it was not $39.99. It was about $32 or something like that. And I said, well, for $32, it's more within my range of experimenting than Apple's $100
Take
pencil.
a chance on it.
Huh?
So I'll take a chance.
Yeah,
on
well,
it.
okay. Yeah, it was.
Well, Alan, you should have come to the afternoon learners at Micro Center where Ralph won the Apple Pencil.
Well, I mean, but still, I wouldn't have a need for it. This is it.
It looks just like the app.
Well, it does not have a removable
Yeah,
cap.
right.
No,
Smart.
the tip is a button that turns it on and off.
Nice.
A little blue light when it's on. If it's charging, it's a red light. When it's fully charged, it changes to a green light. To turn it off, I tap it one more time. Charging is with USB-C, and they give you the USB-C cord. Since I didn't have one, that's rather convenient.
Yeah.
The tip is replaceable. They included 2 or 3 additional tips. I have absolutely no idea how to replace it. This does not seem to unscrew. Maybe you have to grab the tip with pliers. I don't know.
Yeah.
No idea at all. But it seems to work. I can go into.
Sounds good for $40, yeah.
Yeah, well, this is,
It looks a lot like the original Apple Pencil, and Apple has kind of, well, they're not making the original one
So
anymore.
does that work with any mobile device?
It said, it
Okay.
listed which ones it worked with.
No.
So,
it,
for first generation.
I upgraded my iPad last year. I had a 2nd generation Mini. It did not work with the Mini. This
Oh,
is the 5th version.
maybe it's working with the newer version.
Yeah, so it's working with newer ones.
That's even better.
Not the older ones. Okay, here's let me go in and, oops. Let's connect this again. Apple TV. Oh, okay, here I'm connected. Let's get rid of that. I select a color. Turn it on. I select a color.
When it's working.
You changed it. Oh, it's not showing the,
Oh, it's not showing,
Selection.
okay, it's not showing, okay. At the bottom of the screen are colored pencils, you select it.
What app
This is called, what's this called? This is called Draw, D-R-A-W. I have no idea when I got it or whether I paid for it or not. I said, I'm not artistic, so I probably would not have paid for it.
Does it have any angle or pressure sensitivity?
No,
or
no.
It's just, so it's just a,
None that I'm aware of.
so it's just a point problem.
Well, let's see.
But still, if you're used to drawing with a pencil on paper or a pen on paper.
Yeah.
Well, the Apple
Or
the Apple one's very sensitive. It's really amazing. You can go at an angle.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna be better than the Apple one.
The Apple one,
I don't think.
Here is Notes, Apple's
but
Notes.
it's great. I mean, it's great for drawing, simple drawing.
Yeah, for simple
Taking
drawing,
notes.
sketches and things.
Yeah.
You just want to capture a graphic idea quickly, design something.
$40, it's great. And the
I wonder
Almo
if they
has a
would
lot
work
of
with Nevo.
I mean, it's nice having the on-off switch because the Almo one
Nevo.
stays on and drains.
It's a-
Because you have-
Yeah.
you have to
It's
The
a-
on-off switch is very sensitive. You can
Script to
turn it on
text.
without knowing you're turning it on.
Oh,
Oh,
I put it in my pocket and then realized, hey, it's got a sharp point. It's like carrying a knife that's, or an ice pick. I don't know about carrying it on a plane.
yeah.
But the price was right.
if you check luggage, you could also always put it in one of your checked-on bags, and they wouldn't care about that,
Oh, probably not.
unless they weren't taking any checked bags.
Yeah. Oh, I haven't taken it anywhere. This is on Amazon. If anybody's interested, let's see, there's a way of sharing things from Amazon. I have to go to order again. And, how do I share something from Amazon with others? I don't have a share icon. Okay. let's
Yeah,
try-
there's a share button
Well, yeah, the problem is finding it. Let's see if we can do it.
at the top of the screen on,
Okay. Go back to,
Same screen. Are you in the Amazon app?
this. Where is it? Is that using,
So JoJo.
is that you, Dale, on the screen?
Nope.
well, I don't know.
Just send it to the list.
Huh? Well, I still have to find the link to it.
Yeah, but you can do that at your leisure.
Roy, did you want to come back to the membership stuff?
Membership stuff.
Did you want to, at the end of the mobile sig, want to come back to the membership issue?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, we're gonna schedule another meeting for that. It's getting
Okay.
And just a follow-up on the harness, I looked it up on the hang time, and it was $25. I searched on Amazon, and they don't have the original, but they have a bunch of lookalikes for prices less than the $25. So for the same kind of gizmo, many, many choices.
Everything, of course, for something like this is the quality. Yeah, I would not say $2 for something.
They're well regarded, but
Yeah.
I take your point.
Yeah, yeah.
On the ski lift, you would want the quality.
Yeah, because I don't want to test it for the first time.
Or get old
Yeah,
and
you
get
don't want to
really
be the beta test.
tear apart.
Yeah. I'll just look and see if I can find the share on this.
A friend of mine was in Orlando, Disney World, Disneyland,
Yes.
whatever it's called. On some Ferris wheel ride, she dropped her iPhone from the top. And they found her a month later
Uh-huh.
and sent her iPhone.
Yeah.
I don't know how they got into it, to know who she was. And it wasn't broken.
Amazing.
Okay, if anybody wants the link to this is the airdrop, send the link. Yeah, you want it?
I just turned this on, that's why I
Do you
wasn't
want
on before. I was talking.
Okay, that quick promo over that. Does this person want it? Roy, do you want
Yeah,
it?
you can send it to me.
Okay. Well, I can send it to everybody, they have to accept it. If you don't accept it, you don't get it.
Okay. Well, that's the mobile sig for this meeting.
All right. Thanks so much, Roy. And thanks to whoever is left watching the YouTube. So we'll now end the stream.
Probably more people on YouTube than here.
That's all.
Maybe not.